Tatsumi was an easygoing, useless idiot who thought life was fair until he discovered that his friends had been ushered to Nirvana, so he became mad and joined an assassin squad to get revenge and clap every enemy that crossed his path. Before this, Tatsumi had been a local village champion, slicing through monsters that invaded the village like it was his day job, easily obliterating them. But soon, the glory of being a village hero grew stale. He then set his sights on conquering the big city. Dreaming of riches and fame, little did the clueless village idiot know that the city wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It was crawling with evil. The moment he arrived, Tatsumi was entranced by the bustling big city, as it was nothing like the quiet life of his village. Excited to prove himself, he made a beeline for the military barracks, eager to join the army and make some quick cash. But instead of being welcomed, he was thrown out for smelling like a rotten fish. Defeated, his hopes dwindling, he stumbled upon a hot chick with melons the size of his head who promised to get him a job if he bought her some drinks. Mesmerized by her two massive reasons, Ro didn't think twice. Tatsumi instantly took her to the bar, bought her booze, and handed over his entire life savings like a gullible fool. Of course, the blonde scammed him and disappeared, leaving him to wait like a lost puppy until the bar attendant kicked him out, telling him he'd been played. With nowhere to go, Tatsumi slept on the streets like a homeless bum. That was when a wealthy girl named Aria stumbled upon him and kindly invited him to her mansion for the night. Grateful for the hospitality, Tatsumi opened up to Aria's father, telling him about his plans to conquer the city and how his friends, Sahio and Ieyasu, had come to the city earlier to join the army but had vanished without a trace. Aria's father then promised to help him join the military, which made Tatsumi overjoyed. The next day, though, Tatsumi found himself being used as Aria's personal shopping mule, carrying all her bags like a slave. While waiting for her, he noticed a wanted poster of a notorious assassin but didn't give it much thought. Later that night, Aria's mom was viciously attacked and sliced in half by an assassin, and Tatsumi felt a dark, murderous intent in the house. Racing through the mansion to check on Aria, Tatsumi ran into the assassin, a girl surrounded by a crew of strange, deadly warriors. The mansion's guards were quickly slaughtered, with one guard having his throat slashed, another impaled by a spear, and the last one shot in the head by a Barbie-looking assassin. As the chaos unfolded, Aria's father was strangled to death by a cat-like assassin with tails longer than her IQ. Meanwhile, a guard tried to escape with Aria into the woods heading for the storeroom, only to encounter Tatsumi. The black-haired assassin from earlier jumped into the scene, intending to Isekai Aria in a flash. That moment, Tatsumi bravely took a stance to protect her, but the assassin treated him like an afterthought. Seeing this, the guard tried to fight back by shooting bullets at her, but the assassin dodged the bullets and effortlessly sliced him in half. Determined to protect Aria, Tatsumi intervened, pushing the assassin away. Annoyed by his interference, the assassin warned him that he wasn't her target, but if he kept getting in her way, she wouldn't hesitate to unalive him. Ignoring her warning, Tatsumi charged, and the two clashed swords. The assassin quickly overpowered him, kicking him aside and stabbing his chest. Fortunately, the sword struck a lucky charm from his village chief, sparing his life, but the assassin, intent on finishing the job, prepared to strike again. Tatsumi, desperate, pleaded with her to stop, insisting there was no need to annihilate Aria, who had been nothing but kind to him. The assassin paid him no mind, raising her blade to finish him off. Suddenly, the blonde scammer girl from before appeared and told the black-haired assassin to stand down, saying she owed Tatsumi a favor. Afterward, the group smashed into the storeroom, where Tatsumi discovered a horrifying scene. People tortured by Aria's family lured in with promises of help in the big city. Among them were his friends Sahio and Ieyasu, barely clinging to life. Seeing the truth, the blonde girl grabbed Aria as she tried to escape, revealing to Tatsumi that his so-called innocent princess was actually a twisted psychopath who took pleasure in torturing others. Filled with rage, Tatsumi didn't hold back and sliced Aria to pieces, her blood splattering everywhere. Tragically, Sahio, who had held on for so long, finally succumbed to his injuries, dying after seeing vengeance served. As Tatsumi stood over Aria's lifeless body, the blonde girl grabbed him and declared that he was now part of their group, Night Raid. Tatsumi resisted, not wanting to join their moronic crew, but the black-haired assassin warned him that once the blonde girl made up her mind, there was no going back. With no other choice, Tatsumi reluctantly followed them to their hideout, knowing his life had just taken a drastic turn. The next day, Tatsumi sat by his friends' graves, paying his last respects and reminiscing about their shared memories. His thoughts were abruptly interrupted when the blonde girl named Leon grabbed him by the head, asking if he had decided to join the team. When Tatsumi declined, stating he still had no interest in their silly assassin group, Leon took him to another team member named Sheele, urging her to convince him to join. Sheele then responded by threatening to cut off his magnum from its dangle region if he didn't comply. Hearing this, Tatsumi cowered in fear at her words, but just then, the team's purple-haired Barbie named Mina barged in, demanding to know why Leon had brought the fool to their hideout. Leon explained that Tatsumi was now one of them, but Mina mocked Tatsumi, saying that with such a disgusting and laughable face, no one would take him seriously as an assassin. Afterward, Leon took Tatsumi outside to meet Bulat, the only male team member with the physique of John Cena, who was training in the yard. Tatsumi didn't recognize Bulat initially, as he had previously seen him in LG armor. As they shook hands, Leon informed Tatsumi that Bulat was attracted to men, shocking Tatsumi to his core. Leon then led Tatsumi to a stream, where they encountered the fourth member of the team, an idiot named Lubbock, who was supposedly waiting to spy on Leon while she bathed. Shortly after, she brought Tatsumi to meet Akame, who was roasting and eating monster meat. Seeing them, Akame tossed a piece of meat to Leon but didn't share any with Tatsumi since he had refused to join their group. Just then, Akame informed Leon that the night raid's boss was around. When Leon turned, she found the boss of the team, Nagenda, sitting in a chair. After introducing Tatsumi to the leader, Leon took Tatsumi inside for a brief meeting. Inside, Nagenda formally invited Tatsumi to join Night Raid, but he initially declined. However, when Bulat pointed out that they were the good guys fighting the city's corruption, Tatsumi agreed, thrilled to join the Seekers of Justice. However, the team laughed at him, calling him a big fool for thinking they were heroes. They were murderers, eliminating evil in the city. With that, the leader officially welcomed Tatsumi into the Night Raid and instructed Akame to help him train. However, throughout the weeks, Akame only taught Tatsumi how to cook and fish while the others went on missions. Finally, the day of the big job arrived. The leader informed them they would eliminate two major threats to society: Ogre, the chief imperial police officer, and an oil merchant. According to a victim's wife, the oil merchant had been bribing Ogre with huge sums to frame innocent people. The devastated woman revealed that her husband had been executed for a crime he didn't commit. Upon hearing the case, Tatsumi insisted on taking out Ogre for his first mission despite the team's doubts. He demanded the chance to prove himself. On the day of the mission, Leon took Tatsumi to the main street, where Ogre was having a drink while she and Akame dealt with the oil merchant. Later that night, Leon seized the oil merchant's neck while Akame plunged her sword into his heart. Now it was Tatsumi's turn to eliminate Ogre. He arrived at the pub where Ogre frequently drank and lured him outside, claiming he had something important to say. Once outside, Tatsumi charged at the ugly Ogre with incredible speed and slashed his gut, knocking him to the ground. Just when he thought Ogre was finished, the brute stood up, catching Tatsumi off guard with his massive sword. However, Tatsumi managed to evade the initial attack, but the Ogre quickly overpowered him, slamming him to the wall. Determined, Tatsumi charged at Ogre again, this time leaping high and delivering an impressive strike that sliced through the Ogre's body, eliminating him instantly. Afterward, the team congratulated him on the success of his first mission, and even Akame gave him a handshake. Before long, the team was informed of intruders who had managed to sniff out the hideout of the Night Raid base in a bid to report the secret to the Emperor. Nagenda had instructed the team to go after the intruders and ensured none of them made it out of the island alive. As the team chased after the intruders, Tatsumi, who was paired with Bulat, got to witness Bulat transform into his cool armor, which made him excited because it was the coolest thing after iPhone 16. Meanwhile, Akame was faced with three of the intruders who were babbling about how they would chop her to pieces, and she expertly sliced their necks with a single move like katana. On the other hand, Sheele sliced one of the intruders that intended to give a sneak attack, and Mina aimed her big gun, pulverizing one of the intruders out of existence that was almost escaping from the island. At the same time, Lubbock tied up a hot intruder with magical wire, and just when the baddie thought he was about to start 50 Shades of Grey, the wire pierced her entire body. While Tatsumi in the woods sliced the throat of another intruder and Bulat was attacked by 6 men at once, but he sliced them at incredible speed and bathed in their blood. Later that day, Mina took Tatsumi into town to show him how amazing the town was. Walking the streets, they bumped into two idiots trying to have fun with a girl, so Mina approached them and asked them to have fun with their hands instead. Without wasting time, Tatsumi made some hand movements with his blade that dropped their useless shorts, exposing their tiny wieners, causing them to scram like their bums were on fire. The little girl that was almost violated then thanked them, but Mina instructed her to learn self-defense so she would stop being used as a toy. Shortly afterwards, Tatsumi and Mina, still enjoying the view of the city, heard noises of people gathered, so they moved towards the crowd. On getting to the midst of the crowd, they witnessed an horrible sight of innocent citizens executed that shocked them. Mina then informed Tatsumi that the innocent citizens who were executed were those who opposed the Prime Minister's wicked deeds. She added that the young emperor was under the leech of his uncle, the Prime Minister who controlled the entire affairs of the country. Later on that night, the team received the next assignment, which was to eliminate a man named Aokol, a relation of the Prime Minister, who uses his connection with the Prime Minister to kidnap women and beat them to death. Instantly, the team swept into action, heading for Aokol's mansion. On getting to the mansion, Tatsumi was paired with Mina, who immediately aimed her big gun at Aokai, who was heavily guarded, but she still expertly took him out from within the crowd, blasting the middle of his head. Seeing their master had finally met his maker, the guards charged at the team, but they were faced with Leon and the rest of the squad, while Tatsumi and Mina was faced with one of the Empire top martial arts. Seeing this attack, Mina fired at the opponent, but the dude effortlessly dodged her bullets and nearly crushed her with his punch. However, Tatsumi regained his composure and arrived just in the nick of time. He instantly grabbed the martial artist on his waist and ordered Mina to shoot the bum's head. Upon seeing Tatsumi sacrificing himself for her, Mina forgot she had to blast the opponent and began to shed tears. So Tatsumi yelled at the sympathetic bitch to focus, so Mina quickly snapped out of it and pulverized the dude's chest, creating a hole bigger than the hole in between her thighs. Meanwhile, while all this was ongoing, a new menace arrived to the city and was ready to run amok and cause mayhem in the entire city. Over the following weeks, Tatsumi trained under Bulat, who taught him how to improve his striking technique. After the exhausting session, they grabbed lunch, during which the girls on the team devoured their food like starved animals. Later that night, Nagenda briefed them on a new mission involving a notorious serial killer terrorizing the capital. Their target was Zank the Executioner, a deranged maniac who took pleasure in beheading people, usually under the cover of night. Eager to jump into action and end the killer's reign of terror, Tatsumi was told to chill out since Zank was no ordinary opponent. Bulat informed him that Zank had stolen an Imperial relic, a powerful weapon forged from materials gathered from legendary beasts and rare metals. Nagenda further revealed that each member of Night Raid wielded a relic as well. Akan carried the one-cut killer, a blade that injected poison with just a single slice. Mina wielded Pumpkin, a gun-shaped relic with devastating firepower. Leon wielded the Beast Ruler, a relic belt which transformed her into a powerful beast, greatly enhancing her physical abilities. Lubbock wielded Crosstail, a versatile wire weapon capable of binding and cutting enemies. Bulat wore the Incursio, demonic armor that provided impenetrable defense. Sheele possessed the Absolute Dissection, a giant pair of scissors that could cut through any material. Nagenda also informed Tatsumi that battles between relic wielders often resulted in death. Curious, Tatsumi asked if he would eventually receive a relic as a member of the team, and Nagenda assured him that his time would come. With that settled, the team set out that night, hoping to lure Zank into the open. Little did they know, Zank was already watching them from a tall building, eyeing Tatsumi as his first victim, imagining his fat, juicy skull under the guillotine. To draw Tatsumi away, Zank shape-shifted into Sayo, his demised best friend. Seeing Sahyo lied in front of him, Tatsumi was overwhelmed with emotion and ran to embrace her. However, Zank quickly revealed his true monstrous form with a terrifying grin like the Joker, shocking Tatsumi to his core. The two began to fight, but Tatsumi was clearly outmatched as Zank, using the special eyes of his relic to read Tatsumi's every move, beacon senseless. Before Zank could deliver the final blow, Kami intervened, and the two clashed at lightning speed. Realizing she had to clear her mind to defeat Zank, Akame fought hard but struggled to land a decisive blow. Zank then transformed into Akame's younger sister, Kurome, hoping to catch her off guard. But Akame wasn't fooled. She sliced through his body and broke his sword. Moving with lightning-fast precision, she dashed forward and slashed Zank's throat, obliterating him instantly. The following day, Tatsumi woke up to the sound of Sheele sleep-talking beside him, which made him realize that despite her being a badass assassin, she had a goofy side. Later that morning, the boss decided to put Sheele in charge of Tatsumi's training, though Lubbock didn't think it was the best idea. Not long after, Sheele made Tatsumi wear a heavy body armor to swim as part of their assassin training regimen. During their training, Sheele opened up to Tatsumi, revealing that when she first joined the assassins, she was a total disaster. She couldn't cook, clean, or even do laundry without messing up, which led to the others constantly mocking her. Growing emotional, Sheele shared her life story, explaining that she had always been clumsy and prone to accidents. People used to call her the crazy girl with screws loose in her head, and because of that, no one wanted to be her friend. Except for one girl who gave her a chance. Unfortunately, Sheele ended up eliminating the girl's aggressive boyfriend, thinking she was protecting her friend, unaware that the nutcase actually liked guys like that. After that, the boyfriend's friends came for revenge, but they ended up joining him in the afterlife as Sheele effortlessly cut them down too. That day, she realized that while she was a mess at most things, when it came to ending the lives of bad people, she was a pro. Hearing her story, Tatsumi realized that behind Sheele's innocent face lay a dangerous and deadly side. Later that day, the team decided to offer Tatsumi a relic, the eye relic that could predict the future that Zank had initially wielded. So when Tatsumi wore it on his forehead and activated the power of the relic, he could see all the girls' floodgates, which made the cultured creep overjoyed. However, the relic soon rejected him because of his pair of behavior. The boss then gave Tatsumi a book containing information about all the relics, allowing him to choose one. Tatsumi then asked for the strongest relic, but the boss told him that the strongest one, an ice relic, was in the possession of a crazed maniac in the northern region. Disappointed, Tatsumi then asked if there was a relic that could bring back the dead, hoping to revive his fallen friends, but the team informed him that no such relic existed. Heartbroken, Tatsumi sat alone that night, grieving the loss of his friends, realizing he would never be able to bring them back. Sheele then approached him, gently rested his head on her chesticles, and comforted him. The next morning, Leon decided to take Tatsumi to the slums to show him around, but they were quickly chased by a group of goons who were after Leon for scamming them out of money. Meanwhile, in the castle, the shit-faced and manipulative Prime Minister urged the brainwashed Gen Z Emperor to focus all efforts on eliminating Night Raid, as they had wiped out many of their key allies. The Prime Minister suggested that since the Imperial Police had failed to capture them, it was time to bring in General Esdeath, the wicked chick in possession of the Ice Relic, to exterminate the Night Raid members. Back in the slums, after running from the goons, Tatsumi realized he had gotten separated from Leon and was completely lost, which left him terrified. Luckily, he bumped into a girl named Siryu, an Imperial officer and wielder of a relic that resembled a stuffed animal. Seeing her reminded Tatsumi of Ogre, the Imperial police chief he had eliminated earlier. Siryu then offered to help Tatsumi, guiding him back to where he had lost track of Leon. After her kind gesture, Siryu ran off to continue doing her good deeds, but as she did, she remembered her fallen boss and mentor, Captain Ogre, who had trained her. Fueled by anger and vengeance, she swore that she would never forgive the Night Raid and would bring them down, even if it was the last thing she ever did. A few days later, Leon and Tatsumi were sent on a mission to take down a criminal enterprise that drugged girls and used them as playthings. Arriving at the location, they peeked through the rooftop and saw girls sprawled out, wasted from heavy drug use. Without hesitation, they crashed through the roof like Batman, raining hell on the men responsible. That moment, Tatsumi sliced one man clean in half, while Leon punched a hole straight through the leader's gut with her devastating One-Punch Man Saitama move, ending the vile operation in brutal fashion. Meanwhile, Sheele and Mina were on a mission of their own when they unexpectedly encountered Siryu, perched on a tree branch, waiting for them like a deranged predator. Siryu, still seething with rage over the death of her mentor, the Imperial police chief, attacked without warning. Mina quickly fired at her, but Siryu's relic, a seemingly innocent stuffed animal, transformed into its monstrous form and intercepted the bullets. Realizing this wouldn't be an easy fight, Sheele unsheathed her giant scissors, and Mina readied herself for battle. Sheele then managed to slice through Siryu's beastly relic, but to their horror, the creature had regenerative powers, making it almost impossible to put down. At Siryu's command, the animal grew massive, muscular arms and rushed at Sheele, launching a brutal flurry of punches. However, Sheele deflected them with her scissors, but the relentless beast kept coming. Seeing an opening, Mina leaped into the air, firing a missile at the creature, but it quickly regenerated once again. Realizing the fight was going nowhere, Sheele decided to take on Siryu one-on-one while Mina focused on the relentless animal. After an intense back and forth, Sheele managed to slice off one of Siria's arms, but instead of slowing her down, the severed arm sprouted guns, and Siria fired a shot directly at Sheele. In a split second, Sheele deflected the bullet with her scissors and sliced deeper into Siria's other arm, disabling her further. Sensing that she was losing the battle, Siria resorted to her last trump card. Knowing it could cause Koro, her relic, to overheat and shut down, she ordered it to enter berserk mode. With a thunderous roar, Koro transformed into a gigantic, nightmarish monster, grabbing Mina in his massive hands and squeezing the life out of her. Just when it seemed like Mina was done for, Sheele arrived in time, slashing off Koro's monstrous hands and freeing Mina from certain death. However, the victory was short-lived. As the dust began to settle, Siria revealed a hidden gun implanted in her mouth and fired a shot straight into Sheele's heart. Staggering from the fatal wound, Sheele fell to the ground, and in her weakened state, Koro viciously tore her upper body apart with his teeth, obliterating Sheele in a grotesque and heartbreaking instant. Mina, in shock and horror, barely managed to escape the scene. Later that night, Mina returned to the team and broke the devastating news of Sheele's death. The entire team was consumed with grief, but none more than Tatsumi, who was enraged and ready to seek revenge on Siriu immediately. The team, however, urged him not to act rashly and to plan before making any move. That night, Tatsumi was haunted by memories of Sheele, remembering her kindness and the moments they shared. His sorrow was so deep that it felt as though her spirit was still with him. As the sun rose, the tension only escalated. General Esdeath, the sadistic leader in possession of the ice relic, arrived in the capital, riding her dragon. Esdeath returned to the teenage emperor to give reports, and then she promised to locate the night raid and eliminate them without delay. The emperor, who should be in high school, deemed that gold would not be enough reward for her if she pulled this off, so he asked her what she wanted in return, and she replied that she wanted a beautiful young man who would love her and clap her until she could walk no more, shocking them. The young bro asked her if she wanted the prime minister, but she refused, saying he was too old and could die during an intense plot development session. The violated old creep asked her what specs she wanted then, and she replied that she would note them down and present them in due time. Meanwhile, Mine struggled to eat at the night raid's hideout due to her injury, so Akane offered to feed her. Tatsumi was surprised that even after Sheele's loss, she was still as calm as always. Then he reasoned that their line of job was not for the faint-hearted. At the same time, in the capital, Esdeath met with her men and gave them a secret mission that would later be revealed. Later that night, Tatsumi shockingly found Akame with some snacks, and while Dude thought she was only trying to have some late-night snacks, he soon realized that she was attempting to take Sheele's favorite snack to her grave. Akame yapped for a while about how she would continue to remember Sheele, but Tatsumi expressed how surprised he was that she was still composed after losing her friend, saying she probably was used to something like this already. This triggered Akame immediately. She clutched his clothes and yelled at him for saying something insensitive and stupid. Realizing how much of an idiot he was, he punched himself in the face, shocking Akame as she wondered who the f was this moron. He then apologized and promised her not to die until they ushered in a new nation. The next day, while they both trained, he charged at her even though she was whooping his ass, but Bulat suddenly appeared with a punch to his disgusting face, teaching him to always be mindful of his surroundings in a real battle, as he never knew where an enemy might be hiding. Bulat soon began training him, and Akane watched from the side. Meanwhile, in a different part of the city, while a clueless, miserable retired political official and his daughter returned to the imperial capital, they were suddenly attacked by Esdeath's subordinates. After brutally ice-kang the two weaklings and their men, Esdeath's underdogs littered the scene with flyers indicating that this was done by the night raid. In the following scene, Negenda reported that Esdeath had returned, and then she tasked Leon to travel to the capital to observe her actions. This made Leon glad that this was her opportunity to get her revenge on her. Also, Negenda informed them about the assassins that attacked the political official who could have been instrumental in their nation's reformation since he was against the prime minister, and then said they couldn't allow any more like that man to die, so she gave them the mission to guard the other two officials who are still alive. Bulat and Tatsumi headed to a ship where one of the officials was, while Akame and Lubbock headed to protect the other. After a while of parading the ship and feeling useless, Tatsumi suddenly began to hear the melodious sound of a flute. Meanwhile, Leon spied on Esdeath from the top of a roof, and while she thought of attacking her since Esdeath seemed defenseless, she immediately suspected that Esdeath's carelessness might be a trap, so she backed off immediately before she became Heaven's next occupant. As the flute played on, everyone fell asleep immediately, but Tatsumi still managed to get a hold of it because he was Goku trapped in Oolong's body. He thought it must have been an Imperial relic, and just as he struggled to remain on his feet, one of Esdeath's men, Deidara, appeared. A fight soon broke out between them, and Deidara immediately threw his Imperial relic at him. Tatsumi easily dodged this, but it boomeranged and hit him, shocking him. Deidara threw his weapon again, and this time, Tatsumi charged at him while the Belvark chased after him, intending to feed Deidara with his own poison. However, Bulat suddenly intercepted and hit the invading weapon off. He then called Tatsumi an idiot for thinking that would work, not realizing that he was taking Deidara's bait. Deidara was shocked that Bulat was also not affected by the flute, and he realized that Bulat had injured himself to break the flute's hold on him. As Bulat prepared to fight, he told Tatsumi to watch a master at work and immediately summoned Incursio. At the same time, the other two of Esdeath's men suddenly attacked, but Bulat skillfully deflected their attacks, shocking Tatsumi, who had never seen someone fight at Satam level. However, as he glazed over Bulat, one of the villains appeared, who seemed to know Bulat quite well. Turning around, Bulat shockingly realized it was General Liver, his goat. However, Bulat immediately drew his weapon and prepared to fight. At the same time, Liver also unveiled his Imperial relic, the Black Marlin, a relic that allowed its wielder to manipulate any liquid within range freely. Since they were in the middle of the sea, this was the best scenario to wield it. Liver immediately controlled a large body of water and attacked Bulat, but Bulat managed to withstand it. Seeing this, the flute guy named Niao attempted to blow his flute again to weaken Bulat, but Tatsumi quickly jumped in and attacked him to stop him. This is followed by a series of heated exchanges, which Tatsumi managed to withstand despite the blonde guy's insane attack speed. However, the guy soon gained an advantage and landed a hit, shocking him. Liver summoned a large body of water again with his Imperial relic and unleashed an attack called Ravine Serpent, but Bulat slashed through it with his spear. However, this only put him in the position where Liver wanted him, and then Liver quickly attacked him again, breaking his mask in the process. Moreover, Bulat remained resilient and was not going to give up so easily. Realizing this, Liver unleashed a more powerful attack, which overwhelmed Bulat, but was shocked when Bulat came back charging an attack at him. He would have been hit, but Niao immediately jumped in to save Liver's ass. Meanwhile, this stupid waste of space called the MC was already lying useless on the ground after his ass had been mercilessly whooped, and he apologized to Bulat for being a piece of trash. However, Bulat encouraged him, saying he did well to survive that long with the relic. Now, Bulat's incursion had been deactivated since it had taken a lot of damage, and Liver bragged that he was the winner already as Bulat's fate had been decided. However, Bulat told him to stop the cap and pointed out that his nose and ears were already bleeding too, which meant that he was in no better shape to use relic either, shocking Liver that he actually realized that. Liver then immediately took the role of an annoying salesman and tried to sell him the idea of joining Esdeath's army, but Bulat told him he would rather go nofap than join them. As they prepared to fight again, Liver immediately injected himself with some PEDs, while Bulat decided to go natty. They charged at each other and remade the Rigoku Akaza fight scene, making Tatsumi wonder as he had only seen this in movies. Bulat finally landed a strike, spewing Liver's blood in the air, but Liver immediately unleashed his trump card and attacked Bulat with blades of blood. Bulat immediately swung into a defensive mode to block out all the attacks, but he was hit by a few anyway. However, he managed to remain on his feet while Liver fell to the ground, surprised that Bulat could still withstand the barrage of attacks, even though he had powered them with his life's force. Bulat suddenly began to experience much pain, and Liver revealed that the vial he took also contained a poisonous substance, which was now affecting Bulat. As he passed on, he told Bulat that he was gonna die too and said he was expecting him in hell. Meanwhile, as Bulat grew weaker, Niao began to play again and enhanced his physique, surprising Tatsumi, who immediately drew his sword as he prepared to fight even though he knew he had no chance of winning. However, Bulat suddenly told him to take the key to Incursio, shocking him. The idiot rejected it because Niao said he wasn't qualified, but Bulat smacked his ugly face because he was allowing an enemy to tell him what to think. He then began a motivational speech, telling him he could do whatever he set his mind to do. Tatsumi became pumped and immediately summoned Incursio, shocking Nya as he saw that Incursio was transforming to suit Tatsumi's body. After fully transforming, they charged at each other and made an unfriendly fist bump that sent Nya hugging the wall. Bulat died shortly after, and Tatsumi wept bitterly, promising to become stronger and learn to use Incursio properly. In the next scene, some masked idiots informed a girl named Kurome that she had been summoned to an assembly in the capital, and she stood up immediately, hoping to meet her sister again in the capital. Some days later, while Lubbock and Tatsumi trained hard since they were the male responsibilities now rested on them, Nagenda appeared and informed them she was leaving for the Revolutionary Army headquarters to deliver the relics they just acquired. She put Akam in charge while she was gone and informed them that she was going to the headquarters to request reinforcements. Hearing this, Tatsumi became sober and apologized for being useless to the team. However, Nagenda narrated how his input in the last battle against the three had given them much progress, surprising him. Leon added that she didn't want to raise his shoulders, but Bulat had once vouched for him and told her that Tatsumi was gonna surpass him someday if he continued training rigorously. Tatsumi was surprised to hear all this, and as Nagenda walked away, she encouraged him to chin up and become the man that Bulat believed he could be. As Nagenda headed to the headquarters, she reasoned that she had to do something about the fact that Esdeath was assembling a special unit of relic wielders. In the Imperial City, a group of 6 relic wielders met in a room, and while they wasted screen time, Esdeath appeared in a low-budget Halloween mask. She immediately challenged them, so they began fighting her, but she beat them easily. Kurome skillfully broke her mask, causing them to instantly recognize that she was their new boss, General Esdeath. Later, as they stepped out, Esdeath revealed their mission and called the group the Yakers. A couple of hours later, while they waited for the food to be done, Esdeath suddenly revealed that she was looking for love, shocking everyone because she looked like an overconfident feminist who didn't want men. She also suggested that since they had a spare relic which was gotten from Sheele, and with no one to wield it, they should host a show to find a capable wielder before the Prime Minister claimed it as his own. At the same time, Lubbock took Tatsumi to their secret base, and as they talked about Esdeath's new men and the fact that she was fearsome, Tatsumi asked why people feared her that much. Lubbock explained that Esdeath narrated how she destroyed hundreds of thousands of soldiers alone with her men. Hearing this, Leon thanked her god that she wasn't that stupid to attack her earlier, and she wondered how many people she must have relocated to heaven to gain that evil aura she had. Tatsumi was still curious about how dangerous Esdeath was, so Lubbock suggested that he enroll for a city-wide martial arts tournament she was hosting, which even had a cash reward attached. The next day at the tournament, Esdeath was bored by the different fights as they were all fighting like chickens, but as soon as it reached Tatsumi's turn, she immediately became intrigued by his skill, as she thought that she might have found the guy who met her standard.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
After Tatsumi was declared the winner, she entered the battle arena, and pretending to want to reward him, she suddenly neck-cuffed him, declaring that he now belonged to her. She then dragged him away. Lubbock and Leon carried this news to the team, shocking Akam, who wondered if Esdeath had already discovered he was in the night raid. They immediately began to plan how to rescue him. The Yakers stormed into a city, leaving it in ruins, which left Tatsumi in shock as he observed from a distance under the watchful eye of his new fiancée. Later that night, while Esdeath enjoyed a bath, Tatsumi found himself contemplating the situation he was in. He resolved to persuade her to join the Revolutionary Army. As he gathered his thoughts, Esdeath appeared in Sauce clothes, making him red instantly. Despite his efforts to convince her, Esdeath silenced him with a kiss and quickly got on top of him for a set of lower body movements until failure. Tatsumi interrupted, urging her to join him in the fight against the current empire alongside the Revolutionary Army. In response, Esdeath slapped him, doubtful that he would make such a suggestion to an imperial general. He threatened to withdraw his love as she refused to align with his beliefs, but instead of being deterred, she expressed her admiration for him and insisted that she would change his mind. That night, Tatsumi struggled to sleep because Esdeath was in the mood and just wanted his sausage. The next morning, he unexpectedly encountered Kurome and was shocked to learn that she was Akam's younger sister. However, Kurome stated that she couldn't wait to see her sister again so she could finally send her to hell since she was a traitor against the Empire. Soon after, Esdeath appeared and informed them they would head to Mount Fake to hunt danger beasts while remaining vigilant for their enemies. Tatsumi saw this as his chance to escape. Later, as he and Wave, a member of the Yakers, scouted the mountains, they were suddenly attacked by danger beasts. but Tatsumi swiftly activated Incursio and escaped. Wave soon grew anxious upon realizing that his boss's love had fled, and without hesitation, he activated his relic and set out in pursuit. He unexpectedly encountered Incursio, but he didn't know it was Tatsumi. However, Tatsumi chose not to engage in combat and instead attempted to flee, aiming to relay the information he had gathered to his team. But Wave told him he was going nowhere. He soon delivered a powerful kick that sent Incursio crashing into the water, but Tatsumi seized the moment to vanish using invisibility. As Tatsumi lay on the seashore, exhausted and hoping he was not caught, a danger beast suddenly appeared from the forest, scaring him because he knew he was already toast. However, Akane came to his rescue because the monster could harvest his life. They returned to their hideout together, where Tatsumi informed the team about the Yaffers and their unique traits. Later that night, one of the Yakkers, Lord Stylish, who had doubts about Tatsumi's rapid adaptability, discovered a method to track him, ultimately leading the Yakkers to the Night Raid's base. Later that evening, as Leon crouched by a stream to wash her face, she was abruptly attacked and shoved into the water. At the same time, another one of Lord Stylish's lab rats ambushed Lubbock. He initially tried to decapitate it with his wires but struggled to get the job done, so he shifted tactics and shaped his wires into a spear, which he used to destroy the monster. Soon after, a large group of agents appeared, and Lubbock ran for his life. However, fortunately, Akane, the one-cut killer, stepped in and swiftly dispatched all of them to Nirvana in one swift motion. A tougher opponent named Toby emerged, engaging Akame in a fierce battle. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Tatsumi encountered Kakuzan, the new user of the X-Days relic, who diddy his ugly ass like there was no tomorrow. Just in time, Mine arrived and obliterated Kakuzan with a single powerful shot from her large pumpkin. Nagenda arrived unexpectedly on a flying danger beast, accompanied by 2 new team members. While this unfolded, Akane continued her struggle against Toby, and since his mechanical nature prevented her from finishing him with a single strike, she decided to slice him down in bits before Lubbock dealt the final blow by piercing Toby with his wired spear. The man who had attacked Leon earlier attempted to ambush Mine and Tatsumi, but Leon quickly stepped in, grabbing him and delivering a powerful chokeslam. The 5 Night Raiders regrouped shortly after, only to find themselves surrounded by enemies. Just as they were ready to engage in battle, 4 of them suddenly collapsed from poison, leaving Tatsumi as the only one still standing. As expected, Tatsumi's usual struggles in combat left him at a disadvantage, but determined to protect his comrades, he braced himself to fight, even though the mofo knew his weak ass wouldn't accomplish much alone. Before he could act, Susanoo, one of the newly recruited members of Night Raid, arrived and then unleashed a devastating assault on the enemies, surprising the Yakkers who observed from a distance. Recognizing the threat posed by Susanoo, Lord Stylish detonated his test subjects in an attempt to take Susanoo down with them. However, since Susanoo was a living relic, he instantly regenerated, shocking everyone. Nagenda quickly pinpointed Lord Stylish's location and ordered Susanoo to eliminate him and the remaining agents. Realizing there was no way out, Lord Stylish took some PEDs that instantly gave him all the muscle gains he'd ever need. He then consumed his agents to enhance his abilities further, making it difficult for Susanoo to inflict significant damage. Tatsumi then moved to assist since that was what he was skilled at doing, but Akame insisted on joining him. With the combined efforts of Mine, Susanoo, and Akame's sword relic, they finally managed to cut down Lord Stylish, bringing him to the ground. Afterward, Nagenda took the team a place to hide till the Revolutionary Army found a new hideout for them. The 2 new members of the team were introduced as Chelsea and Susanoo, but Mine and Lubbock immediately became envious because they knew their useless asses were about to be displaced. Tatsumi walked over to Susanoo, known as the Lightning Speed Warrior, to welcome him as a man, but Bro immediately realized that dude was suffering from OCD. The team asked what his abilities were, and Susanoo immediately demonstrated that he was built like a carpenter and housemaid. Meanwhile, Esdeath received the report that Lord Stylish had been unalived, and she went over to console Siryu, who felt terrible that she had lost another mentor figure in her life. Esdeath told her that if she stayed with her, she would help her realize her desire to avenge her loved ones who had been taken from her. The next day, Susanoo continued stunning the team with his special abilities and usefulness, and while the others glazed over him, Lubbock was busy hating because he was no longer the talk of the team. Meanwhile, Chelsea also pissed Mine off by changing into a cat and stealing her food from her, after which she began mocking her because Mine looked like she was gonna cry. Following that, Leon and Tatsumi went to battle some danger beasts, and as they fought, Tatsumi shockingly summoned Incursio's auxiliary weapon, leaving Leon wondering when he learned to use that, so she thought that he was becoming more like Bulat little by little. After defeating a couple of the never-ending monsters, Leon thought of a smarter way to go about it. She immediately located the boss with her perception hockey and charged toward it, defeating it instantly. After a month of training actively to become stronger, Najenda asked Chelsea what she thought of the team, and while she first acknowledged that they were stronger than her previous team, she harshly stated that they needed more than just strength to survive. She then trash-talked Sheele and Bulat and told them that they wouldn't survive much longer if they didn't harden up. Later that night, Lubbock, Tatsumi, and Mine planned how to screw the loose-mouthed bitch up, and Lub came up with an idea to have Tatsumi use Incursio's invisibility to sneak on Chelsea while she bathed and then shove her head with a bucket. Tatsumi tried to do this, but Chelsea outsmarted him by transforming into Susanoo, deceiving him. However, when she turned back into real form, Tatsumi became shocked and felt like an idiot because he had allowed himself to be fooled. Chelsea, not the football club, then revealed that her whole team was isekai'd on the job recently, of which she was the only survivor. She didn't want the same to happen to them, which was why she had been harsh earlier. Tatsumi told her that she was a soft girl after all, but she poured water on his disgusting face and threatened to chop his meat off if he ever peeked at her again. The next day, as Esdeath and this blonde dude walked across the city, she was caught looking around like a thief, and her assistant asked her what was wrong, to which she replied that she always unconsciously looked for Tatsumi whenever she was in a place with a large crowd. The dude then told her that they found a number of people in the army who resembled Tatsumi and asked if they should arrange for her to meet them. However, Esdeath declined, saying that no one would ever replace him. As she walked off, the assistant gave a mischievous smile as it seemed he was planning a rebellion against her. Meanwhile, Najenda suddenly stopped and wondered why her chest was so heavy. Then she wondered if this meant she was meeting Tatsumi again soon, or if the final battle against the Night Raid was close. Moreover, on the other side of the capital, an unknown dude with ultra-wide teeth was gathering danger beasts for his mission. Who is this new villain, or is he Najenda's assistant? Comment part 2 if you want the next part. Also, if you love this recap, smash the like button and subscribe to this channel if you have yet to do so for more badass recaps like this.